Joining me now to discuss this is the Lagos State Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Olusegun Ogungbemide. It's nice to have you join me this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
I am seeing very colorful and beautiful signages here. I certainly will be talking to all of you about this later on. If you see pictures, the Vice President was holding this yesterday. Yeah, so we'll talk about them when we get into. Now, let's start with the issue of the decade of road safety declared by United Nations decade of road safety. What does that mean, really?
It's a tag decade of action.
All right.
Well, meaning that we have 10 years to tackle a roving issue. It all started in 2009 when the entire world converged at Moscow. That's why they call it Moscow Declaration. Yeah. You know, it got to a crescendo when we were, like you rightly read out, recorded 1.35 million deaths in a year.
That is huge.
Using 2004 as the benchmark. And that year, you know, just 1 year, and 50 million injured, still 1 year. And when you talk of having 1.3 million fatality in a year, the multiplier effect is what really took us to the way, because you look at the number of families that depends on these people that got killed.
Died. Yeah.
You look at the economic impact or the role these people will have played in their various countries. And it became a pandemic, to say, because it's a global thing. And that was what prompted the whole world to come together, you know, led by United Nations, and say enough is enough.
So how is Nigeria taking advantage of this now?
Well, if you look at the 5 pillars of the decade of action, that's the 5 pillars put in place by United Nations to tackle it. The number one is road management. That's the involvement of governments directly.
We have this on the...
Yes.
Okay.
That's the involvement of governments directly in assuaging the effects of this crisis that we're managing at that time. So when you say road management, that means there must be a lead agency. Government must play a major role in tackling the problem. And that's what gave back to FRSC be the lead agency
in the first place.
In the first place, that's in Africa, in Nigeria, and by extension, Africa. Because so many other nations came around to really check our model.
To learn from Nigeria
because
how
of the
they did
success
it.
that we actually recorded. And so many in line with our vision, which is to eradicate road traffic crashes. The mission to propel that vision really assisted. That's what really wrap it up. When we talk of sustained public enlightenment, we talk of that's enhanced stakeholders involvement. We talk of prompt rescue arrangements in case there's any crash. We talk of enhanced motor vehicle administration, and lastly, effective patrol activities. These are the 5 items that we wrap up, put in place to meet up with the 5 pillars of United Nations in propelling this in Nigeria.
That's amazing. All right, I see Action for Road Safety Week 2021, and I see 30 kilometers per hour. Is this what is recommended? Okay, I see 30 kilometers per hour, streets for my community. I demand streets for life.
For life, yes.
This is what I'm seeing right here. If you can see it. This was launched yesterday.
On Monday.
On Monday, rather, yeah, by the Vice President. And this is meant to resonate across the country. Now, talk to us about this 30 kilometers per hour.
When you look at the record, because our focus within this period, with the safe system approach that we are trying to put in place to reduce the rate of crashes, is to create an environment where no crash leads to fatality. And we have also confirmed that the highest factor that have brought about fatality in our crashes is speed.
Is speed? Wow.
There are no 2 ways about it. With the exception of cases where you have container falling on vehicles, or what's it called, tankers getting into inferno, killing people. But the highest record ever recorded that could be attributed to fatality is always speed. And that's why it has come to the attention of the world that the best way to tackle this issue of dying, vulnerability of man, you can't stop crashes from happening. But we don't want a crash that will lead to death.
Especially man-made.
Man-made. Well, actually, all crashes are man-made, meanwhile.
Well, if you break it down to the specifics,
yes.
some may be caused by mechanical this or
it's
that.
Still man-made.
I agree with you.
So now, we are not talking of bringing it down now to the streets or the built-up area, because you realize that somebody traveling on the highway, approaching the built-up area, still maintaining the same high speed or the same recommended speed for the express or the highway.
We see speed bumps in some of the places. Is that to help reduce, to achieve
yeah,
this?
if you look at what I have here, the one that's talked about was build or modify roads to include features that could calm the traffic.
Yeah.
Roundabout is one of them.
Okay.
Speed bumps are there. Traffic officers,
lights.
traffic lights.
Okay.
Those are the measures put in place to run that. But you don't put speed breakers on the express indiscriminately. You don't put it on the highway indiscriminately. That's why
it can be counterproductive.
Yes.
Okay.
Because a man approaching that road for the first time, the express is not actually meant for that.
Okay.
Because that's why it's called express. That's why our interest is now about when you get to the built-up area. Reasoning demand that you slow down. But a situation where we get to a point where people don't reason the way they should reason, that's why the world is coming up with this. That mandatorily, when you get to built-up area, reduce your speed.
So what is the FRSC doing about creating awareness on this on one hand and also enforcing it on the other hand?
Awareness is what we are doing now.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's not just today. You agree with me that that's why it's one of our number one mission to sustain public awareness. Right from January, we started with that. And for here, celebrating this week, we started on Monday. Yeah. We had a kind of collaboration with Nigerian Lagos State Drivers Institute and other agencies on how to maintain that speed within the township. And we use the beggar axis or Jodu axis, and a very nice one. But when you look at the interface between the roads and the pedestrian and the motorist, you know that place is a very good site to really
to
celebrate
out this
message. Yeah. Because you see people moving, the human traffic is even more than the vehicular traffic. And you still see somebody trying to go beyond this speed. Even the speed limit is too high for most of the Nigerian roads.
Place like that.
Because when you see extremely built up area, even going on 10 kilometers per hour could be too high. Because you see that person that is trekking with...
Exactly, with earpieces and so on.
Does not even know what is going on. You
exactly.
see an irresponsible bike rider that is going against the traffic. So when the speed is high, definitely somebody will be knocked down and it could be fatal.
Okay. 30 kilometers per hour, this is what is recommended for streets and villages. This is what is advocated right now. So the issue of enlightenment is being upheld right now. Enlightenment is going on. I guess maybe there'll be time for enforcement as time goes on.
Enforcement, you can't wish that one away.
Exactly.
Because it was already specified in our tickets. The price or the
consequence
for overspeeding
is
there. So when you go against the specified speed limits, you are booked accordingly.
And then there is a 5 action to make here, to make streets safe for life. You know, I have this one here that says, I think the first one says, build or modify roads to include features that calm traffic. He mentioned that earlier on. We'll be talking about the next one. Establish speed limits appropriate to the function of each road. There are some of the, like he talked about the issue of express road. An express road is different from a road on the streets and all of that, and within the villages. And then we also have action number 3, enforce speed limits. Then you see this icon here.
Your ticket will talk more on that.
And then action number 4, install in-vehicle technologies.
That's where
there are some vehicles that trigger an alarm if you're going beyond a certain limit.
Yes. The alarm has not really solved the problem.
Okay.
Because it's only a man that is willing that will listen to alarm. It's a man that is ready to raise his legs from the pedal that will listen to the alarm. That's where FRSC introduced the speed limit device.
So anything you do, you can't go beyond that, especially for commercial vehicles.
We just prioritize it.
Okay.
We assume that since we cannot start at the same time, let's concentrate first on commercial vehicles, because the driver does not have any relationship with other commuters.
Exactly.
So his interest is the money he wants to make. And the tendency to overrun the speed to be able to make the turnaround.
Make returns.
Yes, returns. But the private has connection with the people he has in the vehicle. Maybe the wife, the children, the friends. So common sense speed limits will operate for now, while we are still tackling that of the commercial.
And then the action number 5 says, raise awareness about the dangers of speeding. Raise awareness, and that is part of what we are doing right now. I guess there are other strategies that the road safety is putting together, going on the streets and also carrying out, conducting rallies and collaboration with, I can see several agencies here that you're collaborating to create awareness, especially from the driver perspective, who is the... all right, now, this decade of safety of roads, the action, the decade of action, 2021 to 2030, what is the overall objective at the end of the day? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to see?
The 2021 to 2030 is the second phase. It started 2011
okay.
to 2020.
Oh, I see.
That's the first decade of action.
Okay.
And the focus was to reduce fatality by 50%. And you just had the message you read before we commenced the program, that the developing country accounted for only 3% of traffic volume in the whole world. But the rate of crashes is close to 30%.
Isn't it so ironical in that kind of situation?
Because the Western world, the developed country, got to a point where they could manage their situation, where the infrastructures are there that meets up with the discipline of their citizen. Because the same thing still happens to us when we go outside the country. We are met with the political will of such country to make sure that any infraction is sanctioned. But here, it becomes everybody's style. This is my own country. Somebody made a mess of himself one time, having coming from Abuja when I was in Ondo State, getting to Ondo State, remove his seatbelt, started making car-wide driving. When the man stopped him, he said, I traveled the way from Abuja to this place. You can't arrest me in my fatherland. That's the psychology of an average Nigerian. So nothing can happen to me in my land. But we have recorded, I have the record here, the number of people that were killed in the last 1 year due to speed, exceeding the speed limit. Crashes. So huge, so embarrassing. These are the things that will have been prevented. So for us, like we have the mission, and I just narrated the mission to you, public enlightenment, effective patrol, which can only take care of only 15% of reducing rate of road traffic crashes. But the major one is collaboration with other stakeholders. Like we've gotten to a stage now where most of our crashes don't lead to fatality again in Nigeria. Let me put it that way, because Lagos is a model. Before now, you see container carrying trucks tilting on other vehicles. But because of insisting on the twist locking, every day, every night, containers still fall in Lagos, but no fatality. We have gotten there. We are tending towards the tankers too, that spill their contents, bomb vehicles, bomb people. But that's where we introduce the issue of safety valves, that even when the tanker falls, the content is not spilled. Then the truck comes and pick it up and it continues its journey. because every part of the world crashes do happen. But because they are able to manage it, the infrastructures are there, the discipline of the people are there, we're able to tackle that one. So we are tending towards that one too. And effective motor vehicle administration. That means getting it right from the basis. What is the condition of that vehicle? What is the process we put in place to make sure that somebody that is not even fit does not have access to driver's license? The rudiment of going through the driving school. That's why we standardize driving school now. Before you can find yourself getting the driver's license and becoming a nuisance on the road, is already a great improvement in that line too.
Now you talked about the issue of driving schools, or let's talk about the issue of, are there schools that are licensed differently? If you don't go to schools that are licensed by the road safety as a driving school, you can't. Okay.
You can't even get the code.
Because there's so many driving schools here and there.
There can be so many quack driving schools all around. They are just playing around. We have recognized, accredited driving school that have been able to meet up with the requirements set by FRSC. There's a standard. There are some items you are supposed to have as a driving school. If you don't have it, you are not accredited. And if you have all those prerequisites, you can be sure that whoever that passed through such school can beat his chest and say, yes, I'm a good driver, a well-skilled driver. That's the level we've gotten to now. I know we might not really be there totally, but we've improved to the point, if I want to rate it 80%.
Wow, that's close to excellence already.
The impact is really showing.
Talk to us about enforcing this, or achieving, no, let me not use the word enforce, achieving this, considering the fact that, for instance, like in Lagos, where you have the road networks are so many in Lagos, and then you need to achieve a 30 kilometer per hour. Talk to us from the perspective of available manpower to man the roads and ensure that we achieve this.
Thank you very much. When it comes to route lining, we might not be able to achieve much because put all the law enforcement agencies together with a wide network, we might not be able to achieve that. But one thing is infrastructure first, signages, sending signals to an average motorist. When you see the sign there, 30 kilometers per hour. Another one is the speed breaker that mandatorily within the township, especially when we have the school area, hospital area, heavily populated, so that you curtail the movement of that driver. While the other one is the intervention when it comes to enforcement. We have our radar guns that if you go against, we don't really have much problem in Lagos because there's a lot of speed breakers in town in form of gridlocks now, which we are feeling it will fizzle out any moment. But for now, like I just spoke about Ojo-Dubega, you can't even run 30 kilometers per hour there. So recommending 30 kilometers per hour is out of it because the traffic is heavy and because of the pedestrian volume, you realize that you just have to drop the speed for you not to run into somebody.
That's looking at the peculiarity of that
area. Which we have so many pockets of areas like that in Lagos too. So it's peculiar. And when you are going on 3rd Mainland Bridge, there's no built-up area there. You can run whatever you intend to run. So for us to implement this public enlightenment, signages, and enforcement.
Okay. Well, people, you have heard Action for Road Safety Week 2021, 30 kilometers per hour is what is recommended for within streets and then the villages and, the inner routes. And especially the sector commander has said that in places where there is a convergence of people and then there are pedestrians, you have to even drop below this because this can even kill someone. For instance, like in Ojo-Dubega and other few places like Oshodi area and all of that, you can't even drive at this limit. So these are the issues. And then 5 action to make the streets for life. Streets for life. There are 5 actions here. The first one is build or modify roads to include features that calm traffic. certainly this is going to involve the government too, because he has to do with spending of monies for all of those.
See the zebra crossings.
Yeah, zebra crossings and all of that. And then number 2, action 2 is establish speed limits appropriate to the function of each road. That is what the sector commander was talking about. There are some roads you can't even drive the 30 kilometers per hour. So it's taking a look at the peculiarity of roads. Then action 3, enforce speed limits. That you're certainly going to see officers standing in some of the places that they feel that people can exceed all of that. So keep it within there. And then action 4, install in-vehicle technologies. They are starting with commercial commercial drivers and public drivers, but certainly they will, cascade it to private drivers as well as to get along. Then action 5 is raise awareness about the dangers of speeding, which is part of what we are doing right here. So ensure that we keep this together so that we all, as friends and as families and as citizens, can stay alive and keep Nigeria safe. All right, thank you so much, Olusegun Ogungbemide, the Lagos State Sector Commander of the FRSC. We really appreciate you for what you're doing as well. Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Right.